guys, it's Ashley, and today I am finally doing an actual video with my actual camera and not just with my front camera on my laptop. It's a Christmas miracle. Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, and so I thought I should finally let you guys know what I read in fall, like September, October, and November, because it's been 3 months, and I should do that. I feel like I didn't read a whole lot in the fall, but I actually did. I have a total of 12 books to show you today. That's pretty darn good. September, of course, I was on my 2-week extravaganza through England and Wales, and then in October, I don't even know what happened in October. I have no idea. Can't remember for the life of me. And then in November, of course, it was Thanksgiving, but it was also the time I went to the Grand Canyon, which was absolutely phenomenal. I did not shoot any video because I was with friends and just wanted to enjoy the moment, but I will splice in a picture here of the grandness and the fear factor because I am terribly afraid of heights, and every time I took a picture, I felt like I was going to fall and die. So you don't really care about hearing me ramble about why I feel like I didn't read a lot. Let's just get into what I actually read. So I read a total of 12 things, which is very exciting. To start off, I read these 3 books towards the year of Doll. These are Revolting Rhymes, Going Solo, and The Witches. I will have a wrap up very soon covering these books and the other books from August because I never got that video up, so I apologize. This year of Doll is almost over and I'm starting to freak out because I only have a week left to read more than a week's worth of books, so let me just throw out there, these books aren't really in reading order, aren't really in any order because it's 3 months worth of books, so I just kind of threw them in a pile and we're going with it. First up is a book that is not Roald Dahl, but it is Quentin Blake, who was the principal illustrator for Roald Dahl's books and an author in his own right. And so this book I got while I was on my trip, one of the museums in Cardiff. I haven't posted those videos yet, but one of those museums had a exhibit on Quentin Blake and his artistry and his authorship, and so it was just really lovely and I had to buy some works, and so this is one of the 2 books that I bought. It is Fantastic Daisy Artichoke, and it's about this woman who is just totally silly, almost like a Amelia Bedelia, but not stupid, if that makes any sense. She's just totally wacky and fun and exactly everything I want to be, and I loved this story so much. It's just wonderful. I loved everything about it. The next book on the list is My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. I have this book on loan to my sister-in-law, I think, or maybe my friend. I gave it to someone to borrow, and it came in my owl crate several months ago, and it was so good. It's a retelling of some of England's history with this girl who becomes queen very briefly, but there's these wonderful magic elements tied in, and some shape-shifting's not the word. What's it called? Animagus, when people turn into animals, that word that I'm trying to say. Yeah, that happens, and it was just so wonderful and so silly, and there was also the history element woven into it. I really don't have a bad thing to say about it. It was exactly what I wanted on that day. I believe I read it in a day, maybe 2 days. I highly recommend it. If you like anything history, if you like anything like Pride and Prejudice era, if you like that kind of magic of people turning into animals and simple magic like that, I highly recommend it. It was really, really interesting, fun, just wacky book. Also, it had these elements that took you by surprise. For example, most books have a foreword or an afterword, or both sometimes. This book had a midlog, which just stopped in the middle of the story to be like, okay, wait a second, this is happening, and by the way, la-di-da-di-da. So creative and wonderful. It was just really, really good, and I would highly recommend reading it. Next up is another book that I have out on loan to a friend, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. This is the second book, but I wanted to put it in here so I didn't forget to mention it. I finally read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children and went and saw the movie, and it was wonderful, and I'm using wonderful a lot because it is the season of wonder. But yes, I really enjoyed Miss Peregrine's. I'm looking forward to diving in and finishing this series in the new year. It's so creative, and it was everything that I knew it was going to be because of what everybody else says, but it was just so rich in character and plot twists. It was so good. Ransom Riggs is just a genius. How he took these pictures and wove together this story of intricate characters and different ideals and time periods and just somehow made it work is just so perfect. The movie was also really good. It did change from the book, I believe, because they are shooting for just a one movie, not just a movie franchise, so they had to kind of wrap things up. So it ended a whole lot different than the book did, but it was still, I felt, a really good representation of the world and of the storyline that I wasn't mad at it. So this is Hollow City, the second book, and I will get my hands on a third when it comes out in paperback, and I will finish them and I will love them, and That's all I have to say about that. Next on my list is The Austere Academy by Lemony Snicket. This is the 5th book in the series of unfortunate events. I am slowly but surely working my way through. I've got like a month or two before I need to finish it so I can watch the Netflix series. The issue I'm having is that it's becoming very repetitive as an adult. As a kid, I bet it's wonderful, but as an adult, each story is pretty much the same thing. You're just changing the scenery and you're just changing like little details, but it's the same basic story. And so it's taken me a little while to get through them. I still really enjoy the series. I really like the story arc and just how these poor kids can have nothing good happen to them. I did really enjoy that in this book we get to meet some new characters who are going to play a big role in the story. Finally, the Baudelaires get some friends, which is a really nice thing, and I'm really happy that they have the friends even though what happens happens. And that's all I'm gonna say about that because I don't want to spoil it, but I do genuinely enjoy the series and I cannot wait to see how it's portrayed in film version with Neil Patrick Harris being Count Olaf. I think that is going to be the most perfect casting of all time and I'm really excited. Next is a book that I was so excited to hear was coming out and put it immediately on my wish list, and the timing of its release lined up with me coming home from the Grand Canyon, so I actually paid way more than I normally would on a book by buying this in the airport, and that is Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. This is her memoir, autobiography, just random snippets of her life. She talks about going from childhood in Maine to now where she is as a superstar in LA and what she did to get there and just all these crazy little awkward stories from her life. She's really relatable and I just genuinely enjoyed reading this book. I read most of it on the plane and just genuinely had a good time with it. It wasn't the greatest book. It wasn't even the greatest memoir I've read, but I really enjoyed getting that peek into her life and into how she made it big and all of that kind of thing. Next up in the pile is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This book is really interesting. If you can't tell, it's made to look like an IKEA catalog because the story takes place in America's version of IKEA. Granted, that doesn't exist, but they even like refer to IKEA and talk about how this is not IKEA, but it's fake Swedish everything, and so it's very much like IKEA. And because I love going to IKEA and my friends and I go every couple of months just to like walk through and hang out, as the story was happening, I was picturing it happening in my IKEA, which just made it a little bit creepy and also kind of great. This is a horror story. I am not a horror story person, but I enjoyed this book. Basically, this girl works for a giant Swedish-inspired box store, and there's just some odd things happening. There's been weird smells, there's been weird, totally threw off my groove. My card got filled up, and I don't know. Oh good, I only have 6 minutes on this one. Wonderful. All right, so Horror Store. So basically what happens at the story is this girl works for an IKEA knockoff and strange things are happening in the store. Strange smells are appearing, gross stuff is appearing on their couches, and so she is voluntold along with a couple other coworkers that they're going to spend the night and see who keeps breaking into the store to do this. Unfortunately, it's not that simple and it involves a centuries-old prison that used to stand on that site, and things get creepy and gory and deadly. I enjoyed it. I couldn't read it at night, but I really liked the book. Also, every chapter starts off with a knockoff IKEA page, and they start off just plain furniture, and as the book goes on, they become creepy torture instruments. Because Horror Store. Next up we have Born for This by Chris Guillebeau. This is a book that I've been wanting ever since it was announced. I loved Chris's other book, The Happiness of Pursuit, and as soon as this was announced I needed to have it. I got it at a time when I was kind of wondering what I should do and I was up for this job and I wasn't sure if I wanted to take it or not, and this book is just about how to decipher what you want in life and how to go for it and figuring out what you're made for and what you can do, and it was really good. As you can see, I have all these tabbies here. Let's see what one of them says. Let's just do this. Success isn't found completely in persistence. It's found in working hard and smart. Try again, sure, but try again in a strategic manner. The point is that just as with applying to jobs, when it comes to building relationships, quality matters over quantity. So it talks about not just job, but friends and life and just what you want, and it's just wonderful, and I highly recommend it. Any of his books. Granted, I've only read 2, but I hear the others are also fantastic. Next up is another book that I bought on my trip in London. I bought this at the Floating Book Barge, and it is More Weird Things Customers Say in Bookshops by Jen Campbell, who is a booktuber herself. I will leave a link down below. She has some very enjoyable videos. I really love this. I don't work at a bookstore, I don't work retail, but I work work with human beings, and it's just so fun to read these strange things that people come up with to ask bookshop owners and bookshop workers, and it's just wonderful. Just really enjoyable, really fast read. I mean, the pages look like that. There's little cartoon drawings. It's people messing up and talking weird things about books. How can you not enjoy that? Finally, we have Happily Ever After by Kira Cass. This is a compilation of 4 short stories that she wrote that go along with the Selection series. So it's little short stories throughout the entire series, and I love them just like I love the rest of the series. The Selection series to me is a guilty pleasure. Sure, it has a little flaws here and there, but overall I really enjoy it. It's just fluffy and fun, and there's kissing and romance, and who doesn't want to be a princess? Yeah, I enjoyed it. Also, there's like fan art in the back, and just really a cute overall book. So sorry this last half was rushed, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It feels really good to be back in front of the camera, though clearly I need a new memory card before I can do this again. So thank you for watching this. I hope you have a wonderful day. Have a fantastic end of the year, and I will talk to you later. Bye.